Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another amazing pod, Late Night with Chefs, Truffle Boy and Doug reporting for duty. And yet again, here, beautiful summer week. We're getting rolling and we're bringing some West Coast vibes. Doug, introduce our guest chef of the evening, please.
With pleasure, back at it again. Tonight, we have the pleasure of introducing Chef Christian Orozco out of LA, coming to us from the West Coast, as Vlad said, giving us a little bit different flair. I think last West Coast chef we had was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. So we're happy to have you on tonight, Chef. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Real honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. We're doing well. We're, week by week, chef by chef. We really have enjoyed this journey and learning everybody's story. Speaking of stories, where did yours start, Chef?
Wow, if I have to really break it down, I mean, I guess back home when I was 4 years old, with my mom's over here, every time she'd make dinner, all the siblings would just have the option, either do the dishes or help out cooks. And
Okay.
my mom, of course, I'm mom's favorite, and I follow her everywhere. I was definitely the little cook in the house. And that's how it started, really. And just learning from her, if anyone's my favorite chef of all time, it's definitely my mom's for sure. She still makes the same simplistic meals that just makes my day go by so sweet.
Yeah, that homey vibe.
Right on. Yeah, you already know.
So what was the early kind of do you remember like maybe the first dish that she had you kind of get your hands dirty with?
It's definitely the pupusas. I think you guys know
Okay.
what the pupusas are. I'm a
Definitely,
half
yeah.
Salvadorian, so
Yep.
I would definitely go back Christmas time. When there's very festive time, everyone running around, and I remember my mom just having a plate of pupusas around, and me running around the corner, and she would just sense me just coming right around the corner and just having a little bite for me, and I just make that little pit stop, and she just shoves it in my mouth, and
If you
then
could just
just on
describe
my way.
for everybody listening in what a pupusa is, real quick.
So pupusa, yeah, pupusa is really just a stuffed tortilla. I mean, if I have to really break it down, it comes in beans, it comes in cheese. There's the popular revueltas, which is like a pork mix in there as well.
What's your
It's
fave?
also it's a revuelta for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of everything in there, a little concoction, and it just comes with a pickled cabbage. It's called a cortido, and then a reduced tomato cider apple reduction. It's called an enchilada. So it's like a tomato sauce dip right in there. It's very playful too, because you in our culture we eat with our hands too. So we just there's so many ways to do it too. You just rip it up. You could slit it in, open it up. I mean, it's just so many ways to play with food. And as a kid, when you play with food, I mean, it's always a connection there that I really find to be very homey.
Yeah, definitely. I have had my hand at making pupusas before, and just getting the right texture of the maize, and playing with
Mm-hmm.
that, and kind of like you said, you use maize in a lot of different ways, obviously, but making tortillas is that flat application. But when you're making
Mm-hmm.
pupusas, you got to put the filling in and then kind of covering it and trying to get
Yeah.
the filling not to come out. It's
You've done it
definitely
before.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, you kind of imprint it with your thumb right there and open it, and then you put the stuffing in there, and then you kind of like spat it down, and then off
Right.
to the griddle. Oh my man. Okay, I
Yeah.
see you. I see
Yeah,
you.
no, my sister, she dates a Salvadorian, and he came over and kind of showed me like his family recipe, and so I played around with that. And I love beans and cheese, like super simple beans and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite good, but yeah, they're definitely a very playful type of food to make.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Right on.
So what were some other of those like young dishes that you remember kind of growing up and getting your journey started?
I mean, she made me make rice at a young age, so that was kind of like the base. And thanks to her, really. I'm in a taco business now, so most people judge you by their rice and beans alone. So it's definitely rice and beans. I was a very simple kid. I mean, I ate a bunch of tortillas. I'll tell you that. We always made a homemade. Get the maseca going, And always the breakfast, you have your refried beans with your Salvadorian sour cream right there with some eggs right there. And we didn't grow up with a lot, I'll tell you that. My parents immigrated. I was the first born US citizen, so we couldn't afford a lot of food. I remember calling the story, actually. We would go to the market, and my mom would be at the meat store, and she would always get bones, and I always questioned, like, "Oh, mom, why are you getting bones? Like, there's meat right there, there's chicken right there." And you come to find out we were so poor that she made soup out of those bones, and rice and corn, everything that's very indigenous and very cheap for us to just, have a prepared meal. So I
Yeah,
was very humbled with food from the start, I'll tell you that.
definitely. And so, you're kind of growing up in this and you're a kid. And so did you always kind of stick to cooking from, you're starting to grow up a little bit in that preteen age where you're like, this is what I want to do, or was it sort of a drift?
No, it was kind of a drift, really. I've always made myself, some eggs and stuff like that, or, even better, I'd have like friends come over, from like a party or something, and we're a little, hungover. This is high school times, mind you, and we would have something to eat, and I'd be like, "Hey, who's hungry?" So it didn't really spawn into something later until like probably right before I dropped out of college. I joined an abroad program. Uh, I was in Peru, in Cusco, Peru, for 3 months,
That's
right before
amazing.
I dropped out. Yeah,
Oh,
so that's really, and I actually, I went, I crossed over there because I knew I was going to drop out. I was partying a lot, and I wasn't taking school very seriously. So that was kind of like my way of just kind of like my last hurrah, my last memory before I drop out.
what
And
were you going for?
uh, why or what?
Yeah, like what, or were you just kind of like doing it just because to do it?
I just did it just to do it. To be
Oh, okay.
honest with you, it was something kind of like,
I
oh,
I was kind of
Peru, three
saying
months.
amazing to be like to have the opportunity to go to Peru in terms of like, did that influence? Did you get to like try a lot of food there and like kind of,
Oh yeah,
embrace the
definitely.
culture?
Oh yeah, I mean, ají de parilla, like it's a cream cheese, cream chicken, that was very popular. Their ceviche is another one that was kind of huge. It was a party town. Cusco was a party town. It's about 90 minutes away from Lima, Peru, and the abundance of food, though. I mean, you're talking about a variety of potatoes. Like there's like thousands of types of potatoes
Yeah,
over there.
yeah.
It's so biodiverse, and the sad part is, though, is I didn't see the appreciation then as I do right now. So had I gone on a time clock back and really ingest those memories, I wish I could really take it back. Just at the time it was kind of like an escape for me, but I was comfortable enough to be around the kitchen somewhat. I was just peeling potatoes and stuff. I was that guy that was just like, I'm just happy to be here type deal, you know. But shortly after I came back home, that was my moment to pursue a restaurant career, and I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Maybe because I wasn't courageous enough to take it on. I was kind of influenced to take an office job, 9 to 5, and this was back then in early 2000s too. So Food Network wasn't really a thing. It was just about to be blooming and stuff. And
Right.
you know what I mean? So I didn't get that impact of what we have today, where it's culture and it's a big influence now, as opposed to 15 years back. So
And did you
I
feel any of the did you feel any of those early years, back like you're talking about the early 2000s culinary scene, it was still very much seen as like that's not really a way to make a living. It's kind of something you do just to pass the time, but
that's
don't make a career out of this. Don't get
don't make a
comfortable.
career. Yeah, that was actually a scary part, because I remember telling family this, and I don't know if they really believed in me, and I wasn't, like I said, very gutsy to take that step. I chose like the safe route, so to speak. And of course, it wasn't my destiny. It didn't lead me to where I'm at now. But had I taken a chance now, I definitely would have. I definitely would have taken that step.
So you kind of chose this office, this 9 to 5, and then where did it go from there? What kind of continued down?
Oh man, if you're talking about the 2008 recession, then that's really right around the time. I mean, I did lose everything at the time. Lost my job, lost my house. I just had a newborn. So that right there, it led me there, and it led me to like on and off jobs for a few years. And it wasn't until my late 20s actually where, I picked it up again and I went to culinary school. But I went to culinary school indirectly again, which is funny because me and my son's mom, we were together at the time. And, that's when Food Network was really starting to pop off a little bit. And I started cooking a little more, just making stuff at the house. And I was interested in looking at a recipe and following it. And, hey, look what I did. And it's because of my son's mom that put my name in those signups that I got a call from them to view their campus.
Gotcha.
And I remember it because I'm driving on the freeway and I get this phone call, and I never answer phone calls I don't know because at the time I'm like, it's probably a bill collector or something. Next thing you know, I don't know, I just answered it, and they told me about it, and I was like, yeah, let me take a look. And that same day, I registered at culinary school.
Beautiful. And what was the what kind of sold you on it? Was it because of the recruiter, how she was talking to you about it? Were you like, oh,
No,
I've had this passion underlying? Or
it was really just what I was looking at. Just the kitchen, people, you know how you have those screens and, like you can see what they're doing, those classes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of like, I was at a time though, where I needed to do something. I was in between odd jobs. I had nothing stable. And, finally it was just like, I was just slowly growing into something like, what, I'm actually going to take the step this time. I felt like that was my year. This was my year to do something. And, I took it, and, and I never really stopped learning from there on. I always put in the work. I always joined every program that they had, every like little cook-off that they had. It slowly really grew into a passion that, you know what, I made the right decision, and I'm loving it to this day, so it's been a blessing.
So what was that early culinary school journey? Did you notice that a lot of kids in your class, or a lot of your classmates, were kind of coming from the same structure? They weren't really sure what they wanted. How was the instructors there as well?
I think the structure, what, a lot of them ended up dropping out. I think that a lot of these culinary schools that now are out of business, I don't really blame the school itself. I think they sold them on a dream that you could just pave your way and graduate, and then you're going to become a chef, and they lack the work ethic. However, I do believe that they did offer you a program for you to succeed. Programs don't fail. I feel like people fail.
Yeah,
And
100%. I
for a
really
lot,
like that you mentioned earlier that you got involved in every opportunity that the school gave. And I think, as a younger kid, 18, going into culinary school or whatnot, you're gonna want to party and get that out of your system, which you've already gotten out. So you were taking a lot more of, those advantages that were given to you and the opportunities that were there, that otherwise kids wouldn't take. And then along the line, that really shows, who's been putting in more practice, right? Who has, more
right,
technique down.
right, yeah, so I think it's just a level of your why, like, what is your why? Why are you doing this, man? Like, you're doing it just to be cool and have a little hat for you and, and just boss people around? Or do you do it because, you know what, you don't mind working 12 hours and cleaning and doing some prep and, and running around during service? Like, you can definitely whittle out who wants it and who doesn't. And, I want my staff to believe the same thing I'm doing, So it's not that I don't want just a team or a platoon. I want a crusade. You know what I mean? Because a crusade, these are people who believe what you believe in. They're not just there to take orders. They're there because they know their end game. They know what it takes. They know how to get there. You know what I mean? And that to me is probably the thing that I'm working on right now, is to build out my own crusade with my business.
So you're, in culinary school, was your mom sort of like, oh, I'm supportive of this. I want you to kind of push yourself in this culinary. She was one of those very early influences for you.
Dude, she was so all about it. Actually, she actually told me, why didn't you do this earlier? you know I just, when I had my kid, it was really about him at the time. So I was making decisions off just basing a necessity of work, as opposed to what I wanted to do. And like I said, had I known that it would have taken me here, I would have, I would have made the decisions earlier. But in a way, you know what, I'm kind of glad I went through those transgressions that led me to where I'm at now. So, me and my mom do talk about it a lot. She was actually the one who hyped me up because, there was a level of depression I was going through when I felt a void, where I was lacking something, and, and I lacked the purpose of something. And, she was just really glad that I found something, and I found it, actually, more so than something.
Yeah, and I think that's a really awesome point for any of our listeners. And you hinted on the fact that just because maybe you started your culinary journey a little bit later than, some other people, you wouldn't be at the same point that you are now without it starting there, because you had all these past experiences, like Vlad was saying, where you kind of like, you did this, you done that, and now you got your head in the game and you're ready to focus. And so
Exactly.
I think it's so important for everyone. And this is why I love hearing all these different chef stories from all over, all different countries, all over the world, is that
Right.
everyone's story is so unique. But at the end of the day, if they changed any part of that, they probably wouldn't be where they're at today.
Exactly. Nailed it right there. And, and that's just a part of trusting your gut instincts. It's something that takes a lot of practice sometimes too, and you have to really listen to yourself to know, to have an idea, to get a feel of something. It's just not something that you just say, like, you got to trust your gut. There's senses behind that. And the more you're aware of that, the more better decision making abilities you'll have in the future, I feel.
Yeah, that intuition is huge, especially at an early age. And just like you said, it takes practice. Some people are born with that heightened sense of intuition, but anybody can have intuition. Anybody can learn that and listen to themselves and, feel that connection in some way.
Right. Yeah.
And so what was it like for you? Were you working in restaurants while you were going to culinary school? Did you kind
Yeah,
of?
I was staging for a little bit. I was out in LA. I was in some hotels, just really getting the feel of it. I wasn't, when you get exposed to the restaurant industry, you don't really know what to expect. It's a little fast. All I know is I did the best that I possibly could. Some places let me go, other places, it's just all about the person itself, and I actually had one banquet manager who kind of like saw something in me, like, yo, this guy really wants it. Like, let me tag him along real quick, and it's people like that who I want to be kind of, or become, or if I haven't already, to somebody's lives, is to see that little raw talent or that little, you know, this person right here has something. Like, let me bring him under his wing. Let me kind of tune him in a little bit and groom him, and hopefully he can kind of do his own thing, you know. So um, I I was doing that for a little bit, and then in time I was working and going to culinary school. I was working 3 jobs. I was still taking care of my son. He was 5 at the time, and you know, it was quite an adventure. I'll tell you. You know, I was working already long hours, just so I could put food on a table. You know, and it wasn't. They didn't pay very great. In fact, they kind of they kind of screwed me over on pay a little bit. But in return, though, I was given this skill set to kind of endure a little bit, and kind of, you know, when you lack resources, you know, you become more resourceful, and you know, and you have to
Very well
really,
said.
thank you, and you really have to just play by that, you know. And it's something I'm playing for right now, as a matter of fact, you know, with my business. And you know, you're going to get a lot of no's with bankers and stuff like that, so you really have to kind of improvise, so to speak, and
Yeah, be
know
able to
what you
pivot.
have. Exactly, and know what you have, and you know, muster through.
So you graduate culinary school. What was that kind of, you know, you have your culinary school. Did you finish culinary school? Did you
Yes, I
you
did.
saw it through? And
Hmm.
so, you know, once you're done with that, what was that next move? What was that, you know, Christian thinking like,
Hmm.
all right, this is what I'm gonna do?
So right around the same time I graduated, I got a job as a line cook at a upscale steakhouse. That I was there for about 7 years. They they really treat me really good. I was around a good team, and I was very blessed for that.
Did you start like,
I
garde and work your way up, or kind of work through the stations? Was it a mix?
I worked through the stations. You know, I started as a level 1 line cook. You know, I got my ass kicked a lot. I remember that, but you know, I remember just pushing through, and just, you know, I had a picture of my son in my wallet, just to be like, yo, don't screw this up. You know, you got to do it for him, type deal. And you know, I was able to kind of survive. I remember they kind of cut my days a little bit, you know, just because, you know, I lacked the experience. You know, I was in the kitchen with a lot of people with experiences, but they also didn't have the best attitude, you know. So when you have leadership that kind of just focuses more on the attitude aspect, you know, like who's coachable, who's not, that's where people like me can really thrive. And sure enough, you know, the sous chef took me under my wing, and sooner or later I got promoted, and I got promoted again, then I got transferred again, and now I'm running a store, and you know, and everything's been great. Yeah, I mean, there's it's been a good teacher, if anything, just of what I've been
And
through.
who are these mentors that, kind of taught you what you are today? Can we give a little shout out to them?
Shout out, man, shout out to Chef Eddie Garcia, shout out to Joel Gallegos. I mean, these are the rocks that fulfill me today. Even my GM Manny, who, you know, I was
Man,
kind
he
of
sounds
troubled
like a
during the same
hustler.
time. Yeah, Manny is a gangster, man. I'll tell you that. You know, he was the kind of guy who was like very hefe like, and you know, he would tell me things like, "Yo, like you can't be successful off raw talent alone. Like, you need to be a leader. You need to develop good habits. You know, because, you know, during all this time, you know, I was actually, you know, I had some substance abuse in the process. You know, so it wasn't all rainbows and sunshines. You know, I I kind of lost myself a little bit along the way, and you know, it's something that, you know, I just I just know that I was better than that. And next thing you know, I had the courage to finally get away from it, you know, and I've been actually clean for 4 years now, thanks to it.
Congratulations.
It's Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm a little touchy right now because it's like You know,
Oh, it's a big deal. Yeah. I know
it's a big deal.
a lot of people in the industry, you know, one of my like first mentors who was a 2-star Michelin chef out of Chicago, I lost him to substance abuse. And
Hmm.
you know, it's a thing that I think is getting a lot more awareness in our industry now, but it was
Yes.
this dark underbelly for so long that it was you know, don't talk about it. We know it's happening.
Hmm.
You know, it's some of the best places in the world. You know, don't think that like the CD restaurant is the only places where they're doing lines of coke on the low boys.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
nicest places of restaurants, it
Hmm.
was still the same thing. Michelin star, it didn't really matter. And I
Hmm.
think there's
Right.
some
The
awareness
employee
for it
bathroom
now.
has seen it all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna say the
exactly.
key shots in the bathroom.
So
So
You know,
yeah, so it is, you know, it's something that's finally getting a little bit of awareness, and I think there's
hmm.
an understanding like, hey, we don't have to operate like that. But
Yeah,
it's I think we still have leagues to come in our industry.
right. Yeah, you know, so I mean, like I said, I mean that to me was a dark time, and I think the fitness part is really what kind of caved in and got me going to new habits and even new friends, for that matter. You know, I mean, it's kind of crazy how, you know, you work a long shift and you want to justify that drinking all night is a way of just like, oh, relieving the stress, but you actually realize that you're kind of killing yourself along the process, like low key, like, you know, you're not getting a lot of sleep, you know, and you think you're invincible because, yeah, you happen to wake up with 1 hour of sleep and then show up to work on time. But, you know, what does it do in here, though, is what people don't really realize. You know,
Right.
it's a little monster that does creep in. And, you know, and today now, I mean, I can't afford that now, you know, all eyes on me and my business. And, you know, I have to be right every day, at least try to be, you know. And one thing for sure is, you know, just to lay off the cocoa, you know, that and lay off all the substance that, you know, that won't take you further, you know. I think I think everyone needs some sort of outlet to really get the best out of them, you know. And for me, it's fitness. I think going to the gym and just relieving that stress, you know, and how you feel afterwards, um, does miracles for me. It makes me take on the day, the next day, and the next day, and so to speak.
Yeah, you know, I love that because you're right. You know, in this industry, we do deal with a lot of stress. We deal with a lot of long hours. We deal with a lot of physical, you know, pain and putting our bodies through lifting and, you know, hours on our feet and, you know, walking 20,000
Hmm.
steps in a day. Um,
Hmm.
and some people think, oh, you know, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time for this. You know, fitness is different for so many people. I know that just stretching at the end of a shift can be so rewarding. And
Hmm.
also, you know, for me personally, I used to go on runs after my shifts as a line cook, and I go on runs
why
in the
used to,
morning now.
Doug? Oh,
Well,
okay.
I go in the morning now,
Okay.
but when I used to work
Right.
until, you know, 11 o'clock at night, I would go on a run afterwards. And it really sort of shuts your brain down and it kind of lets your mental exhaustion kick in. You're already physically
Hmm.
exhausted, and now you are exhausted even more because you're running, but now your brain has had a chance to kind of catch up to the rest of your body. And so,
Right.
any of those young culinarians out there that you get home from a shift and you know you want to sit there and crack a beer and play the Xbox until 3 in the morning and then go to sleep, I encourage you to, you know, read a book or go for a walk or go for a run, and it really lets your mind kind of catch up with how tired your body is and you sleep so much better.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's so underrated, to to do these type of activities. You know, because I now work out just to take this big ball of stress out of my system. You know, it's just it's almost needed for me to do it because, you know, the next day I gotta fix this, I gotta fill this hole, I got an appointment here, I gotta do that, I gotta fill this up, and, you know, just to pause for a minute and take that hour or an hour and a half to just let loose, you know, and just get a good pump in. You know, it's needed in my life right now.
Yeah.
I think that not a lot of people do it because they get discouraged because they're too tired and something. But you just mentioned it, dude.
Right.
It's a little what's the thing I'm
It's
trying
a
to say?
mental overcoming. It's mind over
There
matter,
you
and
go.
it in exactly that. You know, it is very daunting. It is very challenging at first. You know, my
Hmm.
fitness journey personally, I was, you know, almost 270 pounds when I graduated high school, and I'm at
Yo,
185 right now. And so,
right on.
you know, I don't talk much about my fitness journey, and you know, Vlad knows me from back in the day, but it is really important that we kind of showcase that it is possible, because I think
Hmm.
this ideal that the chef is a angry, fat, you know, grumpy person doesn't have to be the case. I think that
Hmm.
when we do kind of offer these little tidbits of information, and you know, I was the same way. I was heavy set my whole life, and you know,
You just
family
brought
heavy
back
set.
some culinary memories.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty to choose from.
Right, right.
But it is important that we kind of just take a step at a time, and you know, realize for yourself. You don't have to be the most fit, skinniest person, but like,
Mm-mm.
hey, do I feel like crap every time I wake up? Do I want to feel different? You know, is there a goal that I have in mind, and what
Hmm.
steps can I take?
Hmm.
You don't lose 50 pounds in a week. You know,
No, you don't.
Well, I
it's
think a lot
day
of
after
people
day.
who go to work out start off with like, all right, I'm gonna hit every machine, you know, and then they're like dead
Hmm.
the next day, and then they get discouraged. It's like it's all about getting like working up to, you know, the goal that you're working up to. You're not gonna get there
Exactly.
right away. And I think, you know, if we're looking at a prep list in terms of, you know, how we live our day-to-day life, right? At least for those
Hmm.
8 to 12 hours, we write everything we want
Right.
to achieve. You know, so we try to get everything done. Most of it can be done in a day, but there's still prep items that, you know, take 3 4 days
Hmm.
to process.
Hmm.
So you got to look at it that way as well. And I
Right.
think if more people would be encouraged to just take little steps at a time, everybody, you know, wants to go work out and have a six pack the next day, but it just doesn't work like
Right.
that.
No,
No,
unfortunately, it doesn't.
no, like, 3 4 times a week, 30 minutes to an hour, go for an hour walk. I mean, jump rope. I mean, there's so many activities to do. I mean, you don't really need to be at a gym anyways. Like, for me, I also do it just because I needed to ingest some sort of discipline in my system. You know, there's something of a good habit that develops in you, and it allows you to take on more tasks in a way, and to do it on a day to day. For me, fitness did that for me. It really got me. Now I could go to the gym. I go to the gym just to go. Even when I don't feel like going, I go. So just like reporting, I got to do all my inventory. I don't want to do it on my day off, but you know what, I do it. I just go ahead and do it. And I think once you can really put two in this type of ideal
Discipline,
strength,
yeah.
discipline to one another, you'll realize that they really do go hand in hand.
Yeah, and I love that point. You know, I talk often about that there's so many correlations within our industry that can be applied to everyday life.
Hmm.
And so it is, you know, crucial. And Vlad kind of talked a little bit about how we write our prep schedule out for the day. And, you know, that's why I had to start going in the mornings, especially with
Hmm.
being in a leadership role in a kitchen now and opening up this new hotel restaurant. If you don't make that time for yourself, then you know no one else
Hmm.
is going to make the time for you. Your sous
For
chefs, your
you.
line cooks aren't going to be like, oh hey chef, remember you got to go on your run. You know,
Hmm.
you got to make that time for yourself, whether it's the
Hmm.
beginning of the day or the end of the day. But like you
End of
said,
the
to
day.
have that discipline to be like, all right, you know, I need this 30 minutes, I need this hour, or
Hmm.
else I know that I'm not going to be the best that I can be.
Yes, nailed it right there. I mean, I think we can all um, agree that, those good habits do take you to better places. And I think when I stopped, doing Coke, um, from that time and actually starting my fitness journey, it really just had a 180 on me. I mean, I think if I had the same mindset I did 4 years ago, I would not be running a business now, and
But just like
little by
overcoming
little.
that is huge as well. I think that as well, like it takes a strong character, a strong mindset to like push those people away and acknowledge, a problem where there's a problem, and like see things from different perspectives. And I think that's what makes a great leader, is when you can see what everybody's perspective is and what like people are thinking. Really, you can put them in the right spots and really utilize them to, the greatest
Word.
advantage that they can give to you and themselves as
Yes.
well.
Right on, dude. Spot on. Just spot on. I mean, it's
Because you're
you
gonna
know,
see that, right? We had
yeah.
I believe we had a guest chef, I believe Emerson Frisbee, and he was saying, like he knows when the line cook is coming, and he, stayed up till 3-4 in the AM, and he can give that talk to him. He could,
Mhm.
prevent, where it doesn't get as bad as it needs to, or people where they hit rock bottom, and everything that's, the full spectrum of the whole thing, where with our industry about, the long hours, the burning out, the staying up late, not
Mhm.
treating your body, well, not eating healthy. I mean,
Mhm.
because we're making all these decisions, right, and we're all about that rock star lifestyle, it's really good
Right.
to have that mentor who's been and overcame these things and is really able to like give you the proper, words of advice.
Yeah, and I'd hope to really be that for my future cooks to come, just to sit them aside and just check up on them too, and just, I mean, look, you're probably grown, you probably do your own decisions, but is this what you really want? I mean, you got people counting on you, and I think it's important to really be an environment where you have that type of leadership who really looks out for your best interests and not just there to have you, do your job or whatnot. I mean, it's, I thank the people around me today because those are the people that carried me when I was paralyzed. Those are the people who weren't dead weight to me and took me to those places of where I'm at today. And I know for sure that if anyone in my circle is out and, down and out, then you know what, I'm going to be that person that's going to carry them, and I'm going to take them to their fulfillment. I'm going to take them to their destiny, wherever they need to be. Where do they want to go? And I think as leaders, it's really important to kind of, we have an ability also to kind of touch people's lives in a way. um, I think that sometimes, you want to be that boss, employee aspect, but if you really want the best out of them, kind of check on their heads a little bit, and see where they're at.
I love that. That's so important. And I hope anyone who's getting into management takes that advice. That's so key. There's such a difference between being a leader and a boss. And,
Hmm.
I think any management book you pick up nowadays will tell you that. But, a leader is someone who is leading, who is showing by example, who is
Hmm.
genuinely invested in the people that are helping support him. And, a boss
Hmm.
is a dictatorship. A boss is someone who's telling someone what to do, not the best interest at heart of whoever's supporting them. And it's very much a one-way street of support. A leader is two-way street. It's a symbiotic relationship. They're there for you
Hmm.
just as much as you are for them.
Right. And not everyone's always going to buy in, and stuff, but you'd hope that, if they do part ways, that, I still hope that the best of them, hey, I wish you the best. I mean, every now and then, I have cooks who quit on me before, and I kind of, hey man, just checking if you're all right, and sometimes they're not all right, but I anything encouraging I could tell them, and I was there once, and if I can share my story to them, and hopefully in time, people can kind of develop those good habits.
100%. And so, kind of getting back to your story a little bit. So, you're, graduated culinary school, you're working as this line cook, you're getting this experience, you have these mentors. what was that next leap? Did you decide like, hey, I got to do my own
You
thing?
missed a couple of promotions there, Doug.
Well, I
Got
think,
promoted a couple times, and I think
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
yeah. And I was a chef for a little bit. I think it was until COVID hit, and you know, I'm at home, and I decided to sell carnitas in the garage. Me and my partner. So we kind of did it as a thing, just to make some extra income, and we had a lot of time in our hands, and next thing you know, we're selling out every week, and eventually it was something like, yo, can we kind of, you feeling something? Like, can we try to make this work? And it was a long road, even just to get a trailer. We went through multiple places. We went through numerous banks. We had some no's. All it took was one yes. That COVID though really got me out of my comfort zone. Um, it made me realize that, you know what, I mean, I gotta take some sort of leap of faith, like an actual leap of faith, and start something on my own or on our own. And you know, I started a couple months ago with the business. I sell tacos, and it's been kind of rough, but it's been great at the same time. And it's only rough because you're just structuring everything, as opposed to being hired for a company. Everything already has it. I actually structured it. I have inventory sheets. I had to make spreadsheets. I have to take count of how much I made. I had to see how much is payroll, how much I have left, and you know, uh, it's not easy. I'll tell you that. I go through stress and anxiety almost every day doing it, but you do celebrate those little W's when you are busy or when you sell out, and you appreciate those days, because some days aren't the same. Some days, there's no one that comes. Other days you have a long line, and yeah, I think more is to come. I know that for sure. Just right now, I just started out. So, it's kind of like I'm here now.
Yeah.
I've exhausted all my resources, my savings is all on the line right now. Um, I remember making a purchase when I first started out, dude. I barely made the meat purchases by like $3. And then I made it. Then I have to hope for a great weekend, which, I was able to do that. And then I got some space, so entrepreneurship really is a real monster, but there's a big reward though. There really is. And when you push through, when you stay positive and you trust the process, those good things will happen. Um, I I used to say trusting the process as something that I understood, but it was something that was actually cliche. And I feel like people say that too many times. You know, Trusting the process is something when you're only have dollars left in the bank account and you hope for a great weekend. Trusting the process is hoping that you get all the permits right, and that you don't have to go back, and you don't delay yourself for another 2-3 months. And trusting the process is when the bank says no, and now you have to be resourceful and how you can make more sales. And I finally understand what that means. And it's not to say that I'm out of the green now. I'm in the green now. I'm still very much in the red. I just started out, but I just know that it's endured me for more obstacles to come in the future. Like before, I'd be in the red, and I'd be like on tippy toes, like right here, as opposed to now, like, okay, cool, I'm in the red now, like, but I'm here. I know I'm not gonna drown, but you know, I just still have to think ahead, and I have to be very flux with what I do in my operations.
I think we had this question asked earlier. I don't know if Vlad asked this question at a previous podcast, but we had a private chef, and we wanted to know some of those, those applications, those programs that you use when you're starting your first business. I'm sure there's some entrepreneurial chefs out there that are, what do you use to do payroll? What do you use for your inventories? Is it all Excel? Is it, pen and paper? What are some of those like tips and tricks for someone starting out?
So for me, it's all spreadsheets. You know, I used to do accounting on my 9 to 5, so I was able to kind of have that skill set. But to be honest, you could really just get a template of something that's formed in a way where you can input your data and just, take this off, add this, put your little logo there. I mean, it's quite easy for the most part, as long as you know where to plug in your numbers. For me, yeah, I just saved a lot of templates and made it my own. I hired a bookkeeper, just so that way I have no time to really break it down and develop a balance sheet. So if you really want to invest in something, invest in a bookkeeper for sure. You have bankers, who run your small business account. Exhaust them with questions. They're there to answer your questions, and hound them. If you really, yo, I got problems with cash flow, can you help me out? Like, do you have any programs right there available? I think that some people don't ask enough when they're given those opportunities. And as for me, I'll annoy the crap out of you, man. Like, yo, hey, call me back, I have a question. For me also too, I figured out my day-to-day as I was going. So the first week I did inventory, right? And I jocked everything in. And then I developed another idea of how I can improve this better. Constantly I'm adding new forms, cash reconciliations. I have a daily tracker, obviously. Soon I'll have a P&L ready and an income statement, because I'm already 3 months into operations. You really have to find time, just like you're finding time in the gym. You really have to find time to insert your numbers, and to not just insert them and just print them out and put them away. You really have to read it. You really have to know how much you're spending. You have to compare this week from this week, for last month from last month, and really break it down. It's like a language that you have to learn. One of the apps that I do like is Expensify. I just got it not too long ago, and it actually makes my work a lot easier too. So like, you can purchase something on your business account, and it actually links into the app, and it asks you a question like, yo, is this expense yours? You just click yes. And the first time you just have to categorize it where it goes. Does it go to produce? Does it go to protein? And it automatically jumps in there and integrates. So those are things that now
categorizes it for you.
Exactly. But as opposed to now, I was using smart receipts where I would manually enter it. And it's kind of cool because you manually enter it, you have your own categories right there, and it develops a little chart of how much you spend and everything like that. I also, what else do I have? I mean, I have a monthly budget where I constantly update it every week. So now now I know what my budget is, how much I spend on everything a month, and I break it down from supplies to produce, protein, to insurance, your trailer payments. Now every week I just insert the number of how much I expense for the week and just add it on there. So like, that spreadsheet now is updated. So now I have an idea. So like, say I'm on week 4 now this week. Now I'm looking back at week 3, and I'm looking at the difference of how much I have to spend in order to make the budget for week 4. So, you just have to really develop your own system in a way. I mean, I still haven't had to figure it out all the way through, but I'm so persistent in the information that's given to me.
And I think that's, anyone who finds Excel a daunting task. I love Excel. I use Excel every day. I mean,
Yes.
um, the formula function, once you can kind of unlock and you start to read that language, it's incredibly useful. But, as with almost everything in life, you only get out of it what you put in. And so
Yes.
anytime you make an Excel spreadsheet, any young chef out there that's listening, really work on those templates and those spreadsheets. Make sure that the formulas line up, make sure that they make sense, because,
Hmm.
just like you're saying, chef, once you put in those numbers, it should be populating everything for you. And you should be able to
Hmm.
use that template month over month, week after week, really put in the time to make sure that those templates are built out proper and that they're built out to something that
Hmm.
you spend, a week fixing this template, you don't have to worry about it again. You can input your data and it'll spit out exactly what you need.
Hmm. Yeah, it just takes a little more time the beginning, but eventually, it's ingested in you. I mean, you make meat purchases right there, and you know how much you're spending on boneless chuck per pound. And it gets you, and it actually entices me to kind of like, I don't know, I get excited now, to be honest with you, when I get a new form of information, and or my financier partner will ask me questions. I'll just be like, what do you want to know? So I it's something that I haven't got it down fully, but again, it's always room for improvement. I hope that the packet does get bigger, and that you get fully invested. And and I have to tell you, all you future entrepreneurs, like, don't get discouraged on templates. Like, you can actually buy the templates if you wanted to. Like, there's people who actually make them for you. And the resources are there. I think when people don't know, they get so discouraged. But yo, ask Google, ask Siri, like,
YouTube it.
YouTube
Yeah.
it. Yes, you know what I mean? The information is really there for you, and you need it more than ever as an entrepreneur, because you go to a company, you get hired, you just sit and wait and do your job. But you know what? When it's actually yours, like, you have to be all in, like, and that's where the discipline part comes in, because you miss 1 week and now you're behind. And I remember when I first started too, I was so persistent, and somewhere in the middle, I was so overwhelmed too, that I just, fell behind. And that right there can be a disaster in your business if you don't know how much you're spending, and, oh, yo, I had a rough week. Like, now you need to adjust. Now you're catching up, and that's
Right.
something where you don't want to be. You want to be ahead of the game.
Well, and being to know, how rough was that week really? What does the catch up look like? And being able to put that into real life numbers
Yeah,
is
real
so
life, I'll
important.
tell you.
Yeah.
like like in my desk right here, I have a pile of this, I have a pile of that, I have a pile of that. And then I had to delve into it to know what the pile is. But yet I'm too busy because I have to take the trailer out to the site. It,
Right.
it can be really disastrous when people are texting you for answers and you don't have them,
Yeah.
or, time is money, so if you don't have the answers now, you have to look for the answers. You should be already being prepping or doing something operational now. Now you have to take now you have to take time up for that to do this, or call somebody for that. And you know what I mean? And time management too. That's the kicker right there. That's what I'm trying to get which I do have a good feel for it though, but there's always room for improvement.
Yeah. Well,
I
no,
love the
that's a great
attitude.
attitude to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Mhm.
I think we've said it a lot on this podcast, but as soon as you stop learning, I think is when you stop having fun.
Yes. Yeah, I think, you just have to enjoy it. You kind of have to enjoy the abuse a little bit, because it's not easy. I'm working almost 18 hours a day, and you get mentally exhausted. This is why I have my outlets. This is why I go to the gym, because you know what, you have to let something go. And when you do those things, when you stay persistent in what you need to do, it gets better. It becomes a habit. It's almost like like breathing almost, and just know your whys too. I think that's so important, because if you don't know your whys, then why are you doing it? Are you just doing it to make money? I mean, no, you want to do it because you want something to grow. You want to fulfill something,
Right.
and those little things will get you there.
So before we kind of wrap up with the pod tonight, Chef, I'm sure our viewers, we have some out in LA, I'm sure they're listening, where can they find you? Where can they come check out your cart? What do you got going on coming up? You got any events planned?
Yeah, so we are Cartel Tacos, but with the dash, just a little play. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, I don't know why I'm talking. But yeah, so it's Cartel Tacos. We're located in the city of Rialto, just 40 miles off of Los Angeles. We actually have a corporate function next week, which will be a buyout for a private event. But now that things are opening up, there will be some food festivals there pretty soon, and you will definitely see me out there in LA. There's no doubt about it. So that's the beauty about it, because everything's just opening too. So
yeah,
I'm very excited for what's to come.
And your Insta, you said it's cart_L Tacos.
That's correct. Yeah, cart_L Tacos, and then Chris_the Cook. That's my personal page.
I love it. Is Chris the Cook like a play on like Kiss the Cook?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I like
my
it.
name's Chris. Yeah, that was my little. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, Vlad, any more questions? I mean, it's been quite an informative podcast. I love hearing about the fitness journey. I think that's so important for so many chefs out there.
Sure.
I know
I
it's
think,
an absolute struggle.
You forgot to ask what's on the menu. What are the hits? Are there some
pepitas?
pepitas?
That's true.
Oh man, yeah.
Pupusas.
Pupusas, pepitas, whatever.
No,
pumpkin seeds.
No. We sell tacos, but we specialize in carnitas. My partner, he's from Michoacan, so he has this killer recipe, man. That'll just blow your mind. But we have the pastor on a trompo. We have a grill ready to go. So it's a big trailer. So we're able to do a lot there, and we're able to kind of assure us the freshest quality ingredients as possible. So, we kind of have this kind of made to order concept where, you want some carne asada tacos? Well, guess what? It's not sitting in a steam table. It's actually grilling as we speak.
Nice.
That's awesome. Nice. And then in terms of Doug's favorite thing is sustainability. Are you reaching out to like local farmers markets, some, farm collabs? How's that been?
Not at the moment yet. Actually, my meat supplier is a small business owner. So really anyone with small businesses, I'm actually in contact with somebody who does grow their own vegetables. But I will be soon to be doing that pretty soon. But as for me, if you're a small business, let me know what's up, because I'm all about the support. So anyone out there that has any produce or goods or anything like that, holler at your boy, because I will support.
Hit up Chef Christian, y'all.
So no, I loved everything you put everything very well, very well said, beautifully said, I would have to say, in terms of everything. And then just how that outlet, when I look out to some of my role models, right, let's say the Daniel Hums, and I think even Gordon Ramsay, they're running, they're sprinting, they're doing marathons, triathlons, because it is exhausting and you have to prepare for that. You are an athlete, you are that rock star, but you have to take the proper, you got to take proper care of your body so that you're able to do that. So you're able to work 18 hours, get that 6 hours of sleep, and still been able to go, full overload work, hyper focused on everything. So, I completely agree with, that fitness aspect, especially if you are like me, or Doug, anybody who's really trying to take it to that next level. Getting that in your, routine, getting that on your prep list is very important, because that's what builds your character. That's what builds your thick skin. And I love that, you found that and you embrace that, and, it's in your routine, and that's that's in your personality now. And going forward, I think that's just going to do tremendous, things for you.
Right on, Chef. Well said.
But yeah, I
Love it.
mean, in terms of just wrapping this episode up, I just want to say a couple things that I found really, really cool. Mentioning Daniel Hum earlier, but he's embracing, the whole plant food aspect of, I don't believe there's any meat or things like that on the menu. I think it's all like plant based,
He's going 100% plant-based. Yeah, he's
Plant
100%.
making
based. Yeah.
waves.
And I'm interested, with me being a little bit invested in Beyond Meat and some of those stocks. Are you using any like vegetable proteins or anything like that? Do you see that being in your future? Is there any demand
I
for it?
actually do. Yeah, I think pretty soon I'm actually in the brink of starting a meal prep menu. So you best believe that it's going to be like cauliflower steaks in a mix, something utilized with beets, quinoa, yeah, everything freshly grown, sous vide chicken breasts. I mean, this is really down the road. That's my next big project. Right now, I'm just trying to stay in business,
Right, right.
but it has been lingering in my mind. And it's actually something that I can actually do while I'm feeding myself in the trailer, because I do have a kitchen, I do have an oven. But yeah, that would be in my post, hopefully in a few months, where I'm actually going to start utilizing a lot of prep meal ideas.
That's
Not to sell
awesome.
prep meals in the meantime, but get a glimpse of what you'll be seeing if you were to purchase my meal preps.
I'm all about the R&D on yourself. That's what I've been
Right
doing for
on.
years.
Yeah, right.
It's the best. And then, once you really think you have something, you let the other person try it and they verify it. It's like the best feeling in the world. So I'm excited for you. You're just starting off on this crazy journey. You've obviously seen other people and you've, been in management positions and seen how things are run, but you really get to, hold the torch on this on your own. Super excited.
Hmm.
And, that's like
Thank you.
what I want to be doing. So just hearing all of that was like really inspiring to like, take those initiatives and really get this on the road. I've been looking into food trailers, food trucks. We've been talking about it on the show. It might be just the right time to go ahead and do that. And we'll
Yo,
we'll we'll see you in LA. We'll do a collab and all of that.
yo, collab, man. You sell the pizzas, I'll sell the tacos.
You
There
got
you
it.
go. There you go. Well, Chef, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in
Thank
and
you.
listening to us. We hoped you pulled something out of this episode. As always, me and Vlad are on a journey to capture as many stories as we possibly can and draw a line of similarity through us all. We started this in some really tough times in our industry, and I'm glad to see us heading in this direction and these new businesses. But just stay safe out there. Continue, supporting each other. Like Chef said, support local, support small, and let's just keep grinding and keep going. Thank you, everybody, for tuning
Yeah.
in tonight. Please stay safe, and we will see you next week.
Awesome, man. Thank you
Thank you so
guys.
much,
Thank you guys
Chef.
for having
And
me.
and on a last note, I just want to say shout out to True Cooks.
Definitely. Shout out True
What an
Cooks.
Yo, shout
amazing
out.
community. I think we've all been involved before knowing each other or talking to each other, and I think that's what we are trying to build here as well, and trying to work symbiotically with True Cooks and do as much as we can within this industry. And then I just do want to say I think I saw some really cool about Anthony Bourdain documentary coming out, so I do want to wear
Yes.
awareness on that and how much that does impact us in the industry in terms of what had happened. And I'm super excited to see all those raw uncut footages
Yeah,
of
when's
all
that
his
coming
different
out?
Yeah,
shows.
right.
I didn't hear about
July
that.
16th, I believe. Maybe
Hmm.
I'm
Okay.
wrong, but yeah. So I saw the documentary, almost shed tears, probably shed tears, but it was like it's really awesome. And I think people like that are super super important in terms of what they show us,
Hmm.
what's out there in the world, what's possible. And that's
Yeah.
what we're all
Yes.
about, is showing us ourselves, proving ourselves, showing the next generation, showing the older generation that like we're all about that hustle, we're all about that grind, all about taking it to the next level and seeing what's possible. So on that note,
Awesome.
thank you so much, chefs. You guys all have a wonderful evening and
Thank
enjoy
you,
the rest of
everybody.
Yep.
that week.
Thank you guys.